Hey guys, Martin here, bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so we got a whole bunch of stuff in the news this morning on Global about a bunch of events that are going to be coming out very soon, some of which were expected, some of which maybe not, and of course some kind of expected but a little bit out of order from where they released over on the JP side. So we're going to go through all of the stuff that we know from the news, as well as a couple of things that were part of the FRIEZA celebration that should make it into this next upcoming celebration for Global. So obviously we have FRIEZA himself, we have his banner. I'm going to talk about that in more detail in the summon or skip video that we do tomorrow. You guys know I always do a video the evening before a banner comes out, just going over the banner lineup and analysing the future landscape for the game and what is going to be coming out and everything. So we'll talk about that in more detail tomorrow. But one of the big things that I think a lot of people have been looking forward to, because we always like more content, right, to try out our units in, is we now have confirmation in the news that we are going to be getting the Movie Bosses Red Zone 2. Now, the way this released on JP, I believe we got the first 2 stages. So we got Mercenary Tau, which is a 1-phase fight. Can't be sealed, stunned, attack or defense lowered, and he has the ability to stun with his super attack. He only has 1 phase and he's STR, so typical sort of first stage of a red zone. Shouldn't be particularly difficult. And then we have stage 2 versus Dr. Wheelo. We fight Wheelo and a bunch of the Bio Men. They can be stunned. He can't. He attack and defense lowers on his super attack. Then we have a second phase against the Brainwashed Piccolo, and then the third stage against the robotic Dr. Wheelo. I believe he has an AoE super as well, but he's a slightly easier boss. He doesn't hit anywhere near as hard as like Zamasu or Super Boo or anything like that, and you don't get to him until phase 3, so you do get a chance to build up a little bit before you actually get to him. Then of course we have stage 3 and 4. These will get added a little bit later, and 5 as well, I believe, right? So we have Broly, Bio Broly and Hirudegarn. The reason why this is being released now is this came out on JP during the New Year Dual Dokkan Fest with Dragon Fist Goku and Hirudegarn. And global players, obviously, we were a bit disappointed when we didn't get this during the Dragon Fist and Hirudegarn celebration. But the reason for this is because with part 1 of this FRIEZA celebration, we should be getting these first 2 stages. Then a couple of weeks later, or technically as part of part 2, we should get the other stages. I can't remember if the Hirudegarn does come out with the 2 Broly stages or whether it comes out a little bit later. But then the final 2 stages, Beerus and Golden Frieza, these came out basically at the beginning of the anniversary on JP. So obviously what they've done is they've delayed this event coming out so that they can still follow that same kind of time frame where the last 2 stages come out as part of the anniversary, and there wasn't like a massive multi-month gap between those stages coming out. So by the time we get to just before the anniversary, we'll have all 5 of these stages up to Hirudegarn, and then we'll get Beerus and Golden Frieza at the beginning of the anniversary, just like JP. So definitely looking forward to this. The Frieza, Beerus and Hirudegarn are all interesting and fun fights, so definitely looking forward to those coming to Global, testing out a bunch of the units that weren't on JP, like Saiyan Day and Golden Week and stuff like that, once we get these in the game. So then of course we have AGL Bardock as the big ticket EZA for this celebration. I of course will do a team building guide video for him just before the event comes out. This guy unfortunately probably carries the crown at this point for being the worst EZA Dokkan Fest of 2024. Not that we're we're almost halfway through the year now, but you think about like Kefla, Gotenks, Tech Exchange Boo, like all the EZAs that have come out after or even before this guy. Like Kefla came out on Global obviously before this guy's EZA came out on JP. He's probably the worst EZA Dokkan Fest of this year so far. He's not like completely terrible, unusable, but he gets buffs from having low class warriors allies, of which there are very few that are meta relevant. He gets buffs against Wicked Bloodline enemies, which of course again there's not many events where that is relevant either at the moment. of course, like one thing actually that isn't in the news, which is why I'm not really going to talk about it in huge detail here, but we did get the legendary FRIEZA event that came out, I believe, on JP as part of the Topo celebration. It would make a lot more sense for them to put this in here, because then it would kind of give Bardock at least a little bit more value, as well as something else to do. But there is quite a lot of content just from what we've had announced in the news, so maybe that will stay where it was released on JP. I'm not too sure. But AGL Bardock, for most people, it's just going to be a free 34 stones from doing his Extreme Z Battle event, and then he probably won't see a crazy amount of use outside of that, unless we do get the legendary FRIEZA event. But I know FRIEZA hits pretty hard right at the end, so unless you've stacked a lot with this guy, it's not like he's going to absolutely railroad that FRIEZA event as well. So a bit disappointing. You guys know I'm a big Bardock fan. I was really hoping his EZA would be good, because I liked AGL Bardock when he first came out, and I always thought he was kind of underrated. I wanted his EZA to be really good so that we could have that kind of reversal of fortune for him, and then he would become a unit that people actually liked. But sadly, his EZA was kind of disappointing, so bit of a shame. And then of course, alongside him, we do also get the EZA and finally the final copy to actually rainbow the LR Team Bardock. But unfortunately, much like the AGL Dokkan Fest, they are not particularly crazy. They do greatly raise defense on both super attacks, which is cool. Although unfortunately they raise superclass allies attack by 30% on their 18 key, but only for one turn, which means if they're in slot 3, because realistically they are just a floating support unit, you don't get any benefit from this effect whatsoever. If this was 2 turns, it would be considerably better. Be nice if it was defense as well, but if it was 2 turns, then this would actually have a use if you're using them as a floating unit. And then they get attack, they get extra attack on super, but not extra defense. They get extra stats per Team Bardock ally on the team, which, you know, is not exactly gotten a ton of buffs or anything like that. In fact, this guy, he doesn't even count as being on Team Bardock, because he's from the Bardock special where he goes Super Saiyan, and the rest of Team Bardock is already long gone at this point. So very weirdly designed character, considering they didn't really do anything to buff their team. They kind of just threw these guys in here because it's related to Bardock and FRIEZA, I suppose. I think what they should have done, and, you know, I mean, global, there's no announcement of anything yet, but maybe we could get global first EZAs for the Team Bardock Great Ape characters. I don't know. But yeah, these guys, not particularly great either. But it is what it is. Then we have the LR One Piece, as people have been calling them, the Goku Youth, Krillin Youth, and Bulma Youth. We got an announcement in the news that the extra story event is coming out for the DB Saga story, and it is the event where you get the medals. And it says in the news entry, right, that this guy can be awakened into into an LR. He comes from this TUR free-to-play tech Goku, so we're going to be able to awaken him into an LR. They're pretty decent, considering they are a farmable free-to-play LR. We're not expecting, you know, like best unit in the game material, but they are certainly a solid unit. They are tied to like DB Saga with Earthbred Fighters, but that's still a fun team, even if it's not super meta relevant for the hardest fights in the game. But definitely a decently fun team to use. So looking forward to farming up these guys. Then we have the chilled Super EZA. Super EZA? No, the Super Strike EZA. This isn't in the news, but this was part of the FRIEZA celebration. I think, is he the final one that Global still doesn't have? The Int Chilled Super Strike EZA. He's a relatively decent free-to-play unit. Can work fairly well on the AGL FRIEZA team if you actually manage to pull him. Of course, like all the other Super Strike units, he has those links that are really only shared by Super Strike characters, but he can still be relatively decent as a free-to-play character. And then we also have the news about the Whis event being revamped. This is the so far only replacement for getting skill orbs from Chain Battle, where this event becomes infinitely doable, but it costs stamina to do. And from all reports from the JP side, the drop rate is not particularly good. And of course, if you're someone who likes to link level a lot, this is now something else that is going to draw your stamina and time away from link leveling, is trying to farm skill orbs from this event. And like I say, apparently the drop rate is not particularly good. But that's, I think, all the stuff in the news. Let me get the in-game news up here again, just to make sure there's nothing else that we have missed. But pretty decent amount of stuff. FRIEZA obviously comes with his own Dokkan event, which is just a couple of stones and the way to get all of the medals. The red zone, of course, comes with a bunch of missions for beating the stages for the first time, and then the later stages have missions to use specific teams. Then, of course, we have the Bardock EZA, 34 odd stones for him. I actually can't remember. The wiki hasn't been updated with a lot of the recent stuff. I don't think they show where it is exactly you get the medals to EZA the Team Bardock from. I think they're either from the Battlefield shop or they're just from missions, because we do have a thing in here that the Battlefield revamp is coming soon. If you check your news, it does say that Ultimate Clash resets in 2 days. But yeah, someone can remind me in the chat, and I'll pin the comment where you get the medals for these guys. And then, yeah, free-to-play LR that comes as part of a new DB story event. So that'll be a bunch of stages to complete. The Super Strike EZAs, I think you get around 20 odd stones from doing that as well. And then, of course, the new Whis event. So especially if you're someone who isn't going to be summoning for FRIEZA, decent chunk of stones for free from this celebration, ready to save up for the anniversary. So let me know what you guys think down below. What are you looking forward to most from the FRIEZA celebration? I think for me, it's definitely getting a bunch of new red zone stages to test units out in, even though we won't get the more fun ones until a little bit later on. But it's nice to finally have these coming out on global. Let me know all your thoughts down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.